Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, I suppose, and XRP. Just a bit of an update as to what the hell's going on here then. So I think we're all aware that there's something going on. I'm not going to lie, we all know what's going on. But, that said, we can still look at the chart and work out what's going on. With the chart, I suppose, for entry points and especially for exit points, we're all going to need some exit points, trust me. But before we even continue with that, I have to say, Bitcoin is looking pretty bad actually. It's looking pretty nasty here. So it did take a stab down today, and with that it did bring down the market. Perhaps maybe not XRP, but it did bring down the market. Now it's interesting to note that at the moment the 24-hour trading volume on Binance alone is higher on XRP than it is on Bitcoin. So you don't get that kind of thing very often. So that's something to take note of. All right. So understanding that should help us understand, what could occur tomorrow. All right, that's a phenomenal amount of volume going on right now for XRP. But in all fairness, let's have a look at the chart. Okay, so first of all, I'm like I say, I'm looking at Bitcoin very bearish. I'm looking at it now, thinking that it's wanting to come down and test 30,400 or thereabouts. Who knows if it could go in lower than that? It could do. The market cap of Bitcoin is being drained out into alts, and then now what's happening is that the altcoin market seems to be going into XRP. Some of these alts are trading at pretty low volume in comparison to what they normally would do. XRP is taking an enormous chunk of the market cap of everything at the moment. It's really weird, really strange, but we all know why it's doing that. Anyway, I'm not going to lie, Bitcoin does look droopy, but that said, let's have a look at XRP. So at the moment, we're trying to get ourselves above this Ichimoku cloud here on the daily, which is good. We've also avoided that death cross, which would have taken place today if it wouldn't have been for this massive pump. That death cross would have been sealed, and this is something I was saying a few days ago when we were below it. I was saying if we do pump above here, for whatever reason, then we'll avoid the death cross, and it would appear for the moment anyway. We've definitely avoided the death cross. That's not going to happen. But to make things a little bit more rosy for XRP, we've actually just found ourselves having a golden cross on the 4-hourly earlier on today. So take that for what it is. It is worth something, and if we look at this chart, for instance, we are coming to test moving averages. We are still in a bullish formation. We do have an Ichimoku cloud conversion baseline cross above. Is it above the cloud? No, it's not really, but it's still playing out, and it is bullish still. So on the chart alone, it's riding, it's bullish, it's good. But the volume is so high. How much higher can it go? Maybe we'll just have to wait and see until tomorrow. But anyway, I'm just trying to put the case across for a continuation of this move, despite the way that Bitcoin is looking. Bitcoin does look like it wants to drop. Can this rally continue, or is it going to fizzle out and pick up, I suppose, at a much lower level? So at the moment, we've got moving averages sort of diverging on the 4-hourly. That's nice. Is there any kind of rhythm to this on the lower term time frames? Not really. I wouldn't say it's a contrived move, even though we all know that it is, but it's getting a little choppy and a little bit messy. Now, if we have a look at this on the daily, we are finding it difficult now to basically meet yesterday's high. But if we close a candle above this area, it is another candle in the strength of the bulls. So another area reclaimed. So these red lines here signify to me areas that need to be held above in order for this to sustain its move. So first of all, we're above here, which is good. Secondly, we smashed right through here, which is even better, because we had areas boom there, and even I suppose you could roughly say that it came down to test that earlier today. So now this is the main one for me to stay above, and if we could test it as support, I'd be happy with that. So we came in at these areas here, we also tested it around here, and we crashed below it massively from here. So it's around about 45 cent or thereabouts. If we can hold above 45 cent, we've got a bullish golden cross on the 4-hour. It's all looking quite good for a sustainable move. Now, if we get a giant pump tomorrow, this is going to be the big question. All right, this will be the big question. If we get a big pump tomorrow, what realistically is it likely to achieve? Realistically, is it going to be sustainable? I think it's very unlikely that it will be sustainable. But the proof will be in the pudding. Of course, there's going to be a giant wick, and there's going to be a giant pullback. All right. Now, it's going to be very interesting to watch it happen. All right, it's going to be very interesting to watch it happen. But just to give you a little example of something similar, no way close to the same kind of magnitude as to what is likely to happen tomorrow. I don't mean in size. I mean as in, what could take place tomorrow. Let's just have a look at this chart. Okay, this is just recently, in the last hour or so, been pumped and dumped. All right, so pretty static, extremely low volume. In fact, pretty much zero, and then basically out of nowhere, out of the blue, a pump and dump situation occurred, and it took the price up basically 1,200%, we can call it. And then what did we see shortly after that? And I mean, this is a 15-minute chart, by the way, a 62% retracement on that candle body alone. And if we were to measure the top down to where we are at right now, a 78% retracement from the top. So, this is possible with a coin which trades at relatively low volume. Obviously, the volume has increased massively because of this. This wasn't like this before. So, when we're thinking about, what could possibly happen tomorrow, something like this is very, very, very possible to happen tomorrow. All right, there's going to be a lot of people likely to get severely injured. So I've got myself a long here, as you can see, a very, very low leveraged long, a very, very decent entry point, you could probably say. So in that respect, I'm safe, and I don't mind playing this game for what it's worth. It's a game. It's not really anything more than that. But when we're looking at, I suppose, areas to get out from, we do have this area here, which is, and I'm not saying you should get out, or me will get out, or anybody get out, or even get into this, but you've got to think about it as in, like, where is there going to be chances of pullbacks from. Well, this 55.5 cent area on the weekly has shown 1 and 2 level candle bodies here. That is going to be an area, and the next one would be up here. It's 62 cent. Okay, again, 2 level candle bodies here. Around this zone, obviously, especially this bit here, where there was almost well, that is the local top, recent local top. It's clearly going to be an area, but for instance, this is probably going to be more significant for me, which is 87 cents. So around these zones, also, it's the 236, this zone here. It's very difficult for me to say if we're going to break above this zone. This zone here, all of this zone here, is very, very difficult to get above. But if it were to get above here, I'm telling you, it will go up to here. If it were to break above 86 cents, it would go to $1.34. But would it finish there? I mean, we're talking, even from where we are at right now, we're talking a giant move. We're talking a further 178% move. Now, would you, in your wildest dreams, expect XRP to do that at this stage in its market cycle? Me personally, I don't think I would expect it to do that at this stage in the market cycle. Later on, definitely I would expect that, but not here, and not like this. So, is it possible? Yes, it is. What's going to happen from there? No one really knows. This is like no one's ever seen this kind of thing before. I mean, we have, but every coin is a different example, and it has to be based on its market cap, its starting point, sell walls, short selling, all these kind of variables. So you can't really look at other coins and match that to something like this. Like I say, this is at the moment it's trading at way more volume than Bitcoin is trading today, and as a result of that, it's going to need a hell of a lot more volume for it to make a significant move. When people are talking to, I've seen people on Twitter, people like to talk, right? And nobody's right, nobody's wrong, because nobody really knows. But to think that it could possibly even go up to its all-time high and beyond, I mean, like I say, I don't know. Nobody knows. We're going to find out tomorrow, aren't we? We're all going to find out tomorrow. But I think it's very over-optimistic to expect that. I would be more than happy to see it break above this level, because it would be the first time we've done it since basically the parabolic top finished, and it came crashing back down, and we stayed down in this level, in this accumulation zone. I've always said that once we break above the accumulation zone, there is a chance that we could rally all the way up to the all-time high. I said that before we started to make these moves. That's what I've said. But allowing for a market cycle to play out naturally is different to what's actually taking place right now. This isn't natural, and because it's not natural, things often find their way back to normal, and Bitcoin's a prime example of that. If we look at what happened the other day, Elon Musk, good lad, he's a good lad, all right, and I guess no one's really got anything bad to say about the guy. We love him. He's a man of genius. He's a man of morals. He's a good lad. So he put Bitcoin in his profile of his Twitter account, and that happened. But then what happens after that? Well, you can't beat gravity, and you can rarely beat the natural progression of a chart, and there's a reason for that. I mean, it basically ends up coming back and doing what it needs to do and what it's supposed to do. And if anything, something like this, it upsets the rhythm, the natural rhythm of the chart. Now, luckily for Bitcoin, it was all over in a day, and it actually came back down to where it should be, which is below the 20 daily moving average. That's where it should be. That's what it should be doing. It should be continuing with its consolidation. In actual fact, I used to have a pitchfork in here. Let's have a look to see where the pitchfork is still riding. So it's still within the pitchfork tool that we had on this channel a couple of weeks ago. So now it's still within there, and as you can see, it's actually still respecting it really well. You can see the rejection where we've had today is from the 200 from the 20 simple moving average, the center of the Bollinger Band on the daily, but also that yesterday's candle came up to test that the top of this pitchfork also. So now we're going to be riding within the pitchfork again, and if we break out of here naturally, then that's when we can talk about all-time highs with Bitcoin. But until we break out of here naturally, we can't really talk about all-time highs, because despite Elon doing his thing, it's not really very likely that it's going to work, especially with a coin with such enormous market cap like this. It's just not going to work. So in my opinion, what we're going to see tomorrow is going to be it's going to resemble something a little bit like this. It's going to be impressive, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be a spectacle, it's going to be like fireworks. But let's not read too much into Twitter, let's not watch too many YouTube videos. You can watch mine as many times as you like, actually, I don't mind that, but let's keep our heads screwed on. This is an unnatural move. Not like this. This wasn't unnatural, right? If you watched my channel, if you followed my channel, you would have heard me say there's a buy signal down here, and then this took place shortly after. Similar to as I saw this, and I said, look, this is XRP is going to move, and it moved, right? These things were natural. They might seem aggressive and crazy, and there was a lot of FOMO involved, but it was spawned upon a buy signal that was clear on the chart for everyone to read. Some people read it, some people didn't. Some people FOMO'd in, some people scaled in appropriately at appropriate areas. This is an unnatural move, right? So it's not going to come to a good end, in my opinion, and things will always come back to the natural rhythm. So in that respect, XRP, as many people think that it's dead, right? I've never said that it's dead. In fact, I was advocating for XRP basically down here, saying that this is okay, this is the accumulation zone, this is where we buy, and things have been working out well for it. Now obviously we've had a lot of dodginess from the other side of things, FUD and lawsuits, and obviously a lot of bad press and skepticism. But that aside, I've said it since it happened. I said, look, despite all of that, it's respecting the chart. Despite all of that, all of the delistings and the suspensions and the this, that and the other, despite all of that, it's still respecting the chart, alright? So we came down to test this, bottom of the top of the original accumulation zone. We also came back down to test the bottom of the original accumulation zone. Spot on. And then what else did we have that's worked out really well? Oh yeah, the bottom of the reaccumulation zone came down to test. Despite the FUD, the delistings, the this, that and the other, it still respected the chart. So what's going to happen when this fizzles out? All right, we can chart this. All right, we can give ourselves some targets of where it's going to go, and then we can also give ourselves some targets of where it's going to come back down to. So we have to really honestly be realistic about what's happening here. We all know that it can't continue. We all know that, all right? But I also know that there's a market cycle in play, and that the vast majority of XRP's market cycle takes place at the very end of the market cycle. So we're talking the earliest for any kind of sizable, substantial, sustainable move is going to take place no earlier than May this year. No earlier than May. Most likely later on, maybe even all the way into the fourth quarter of the year, maybe. So we're going to finally find our way back down again. I'm not saying we're going to come back down here, although we could. I would imagine when we do come collapsing all the way back down, which we will, unfortunately we will, it's going to be held around these zones here. The moving averages of higher significance, either the 50 or the 200 exponential moving average, which is where it likes to come down to have a little rest. All right, that's what happened here. Came all the way up and it came back down for a little rest. That's where I said it was going to come back down to after this move, but the FUD brought it down even further. So what we're seeing now, we're seeing an unnatural move, a move that shouldn't really be taking place, a forged move, which is all good and all fine, and like I say, some of us are capitalizing on it already, but it's not going to be sustained. All right, it won't be sustained. I just know that it won't, because it'll come back down to where it needs to be, which eventually will be this 200 exponential, wherever that might be at the time. I'm not saying, just to get it out there, I'm not saying that I'm expecting this to go all the way up, maybe all the way up to $1.34, and then come crashing all the way back down to where would this be? 32 cents. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there's going to be a giant wick, probably by the end of tomorrow, that we'll all stare at in amazement, and then we'll be looking for an area. If there would be any area clear at all, to me, it would take time, but it will be the 200 exponential. That's what it wants, that's what it likes. It wants that, it likes that, it respects that. It respects it on the way down, it respects it on the way up. That's where it wants to go, and that's where it will go. Because just like Bitcoin, you can do what you want, you can say what you want, you can tweet what you like, you can create as many groups as you like. You can't defy the natural rhythm of a cycle for any prolonged period of time. So that's all I really have to say about it. So like I say, we are going to have to be very careful, we're going to have to be realistic, and like I say, I'm bullish overall on XRP. It's a different type of coin, it's a decent coin that you can look at it in a completely different way than all the others. It doesn't necessarily follow the market, it has its own cycle, it's a very old coin, and because of that, I like it, because with age, you kind of have a degree of control, because you can see where it's going, you can see what it wants, you can see how it's behaved. You've got years worth of price action to analyse. You've even got a full-on market cycle which behaved exactly the way that this is behaving if it wasn't for this madness going on right now. So like I say, I'm not for it, I'm not against it, I'm impartial to it. I'll enjoy it for what it's worth, because I know that eventually it's going to come back down to earth and do its normal rhythm and do its normal thing, and from there it will eventually rise, and it will rise pretty well. But let's just strap ourselves in for what is likely to be a pretty impressive 24 hours. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there, but thank you for watching. I've got a YouTube, obviously. I've got a Telegram, which is free. I've got a Patreon as well, where you get exclusive content, you get live streams twice a week where you can ask me questions about all the charts that you want me to look at. Then I'm not going to be able to give signals, but I can let you know what I feel about that chart. So yeah, feel free to join that as well. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching, and take it easy.